Commander Jack Rivers stared at the main screen of the USV Horizon. His eyes were fixed on the massive alien ships that now filled the view. They had appeared 3 days ago at the edge of the solar system. No warning, no message, just their huge dark shapes blocking the stars. "Sir, they're hailing us again," said Communications Officer Penny Clark. Her voice was steady, but Jack could see her hands shake. "Put them through," Jack said. He stood up straight and fixed his uniform. As Earth's most decorated Space Navy veteran, he had been in tough spots before. But nothing like this. The screen flickered. The face of the alien commander appeared. It had a hard shell that looked like an insect. Its eyes were big and black. Multiple arms moved around it as it spoke. "Human vessel. This is Supreme Commander Xar Koloth of the Voidborn Empire. Your time grows short. Will you surrender your planet, or shall we take it?" Jack kept his face blank. "We are still discussing your demands with our leaders. We request more time." The alien made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. "Your weapons cannot harm us. Your ships are few. 17 civilizations before you have fallen. You will be the 18th and last, as our prophecy foretold." The screen went black. Jack turned to his crew. 20 men and women looked back at him. They were scared, but they trusted him. "Status report," he ordered. "The evacuation ships are at 40% capacity," reported First Officer Ben Miller. "We need at least 2 more days to get the maximum number of civilians to the colonies on Europa and Mars." Jack nodded. "Then we'll get them 2 more days." His personal comm unit buzzed. It was a message from General Lisa Hayes back at Earth Command. "You are now appointed as humanity's official ambassador to the Voidborn. Your orders. Keep them talking. Buy us time. Whatever it takes." Jack sighed. He was a soldier, not a diplomat. But orders were orders. "Penny, get me a secure line to the underground facility in the Rocky Mountains," he said. "I need to speak with Samantha Reeves." A few minutes later, the tired face of Earth's top quantum engineer appeared on his private screen. "Jack, please tell me you've bought us more time," Samantha said. Dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't slept in days. "Working on it. How's the quantum displacement field coming?" Samantha ran a hand through her messy brown hair. "The theory is solid, but we've never tested it at this scale. If it works, it could create a pocket dimension that would trap their entire fleet. But I need at least 48 more hours." "You'll get them," Jack promised, though he wasn't sure how. As they spoke, reports came in from Earth. Panic was spreading. Some governments had collapsed. People fought for spots on the evacuation ships. Others hid in bunkers or prayed in churches and temples. Jack looked out the viewport at the alien armada. Hundreds of ships, each bigger than the largest human vessel ever built. Their dark metal hulls absorbed light rather than reflected it, making them look like holes cut into space itself. His second-in-command, Captain Neil Franklin, approached. "Sir, our long-range scanners show they're powering up weapons on their smaller vessels. Looks like they might be planning a demonstration strike." Jack's jaw tightened. Target: New Sydney colony on Mars. Population 50,000. Jack closed his eyes for a moment. Then he straightened his shoulders. "Tell Earth Command we need immediate clearance for Emergency Protocol Delta 9, he said. Neil's eyes widened. "Sir, that's a first strike authorization. We'll be firing on them." "Not to win, Neil. Just to get their attention." Jack looked back at the alien fleet. "I need to show them that humans don't scare easily, and I need to buy Samantha more time." He turned to face the main screen again. "Penny, hail the Voidborn flagship. Tell Xar Koloth that humanity has a response to his ultimatum." The crew watched him with a mixture of fear and hope. Jack knew most of them thought these might be humanity's final hours. But Jack Rivers had a plan, and it started with making sure the aliens understood one thing: humans never go quietly. The face of Xar Koloth filled the screen once more. The alien's black eyes seemed to study Jack with something close to curiosity. "You fire on our ships. The alien's voice was flat, but held a hint of surprise. Your weapons did no damage, human. Was this meant to be a joke? Not a joke, Jack said firmly. A message. Before we discuss surrender terms, I request a meeting. Face to face. The alien was silent for a long moment. Then it made that strange clicking sound again. You are either very brave or very foolish, Commander Rivers. Very well. You may bring 2 unarmed humans to our ship in 6 hours. Coordinates will follow. The screen went dark. Neil looked at Jack like he had lost his mind. Sir, you can't be serious. Going onto their ship. It's our best chance to buy time, Jack said. He turned to Penny. Send a message to Samantha. Tell her we're going to get her a close look at their technology. In the lab beneath the Rocky Mountains, Samantha Reeves worked without stopping. Her hands moved quickly over the controls of the quantum device. It was about the size of a football and glowed with a soft blue light. Try it again, she told her assistant, Pete Kelly. Pete nodded and activated the test chamber. The small metal ball inside the chamber seemed to flicker, then vanished. Samantha checked her readings and smiled for the first time in days. It worked. The ball has been shifted into a pocket dimension. Can we bring it back? Pete asked. Samantha's smile faded. Not yet, but we don't need to bring back the Voidborn ships. We just need them gone. Her computer beeped with an incoming message. As she read Jack's plan, her eyes widened. He's going onto their ship, she whispered. Pete, we need to modify the device. Make it smaller, something that can be hidden. Back on the horizon, Jack chose his team. Olivia Torres is our best pilot. She'll fly us to the mothership. Olivia stepped forward. She was small but strong, with short black hair and steady hands. Yes, sir. And I want Dr. Joe Wright with us. He knows more about alien biology than anyone else on this ship. Joe looked nervous but nodded. He was older than most of the crew, with gray hair and glasses. What's the real plan, sir? Olivia asked when they were alone. We're not really discussing surrender, are we? No, Jack said quietly. We're going to plant a tracking device. If Samantha's weapon works, we need to know exactly where to aim it. 6 hours later, their small shuttle approached the massive Voidborn mothership. It was huge, at least 20 times the size of Earth's largest space station. The surface was covered in strange patterns that seemed to move if you looked at them too long. Stay sharp, Jack told his team as their shuttle was pulled into a docking bay by an invisible force. The inside of the alien ship was dark and cold. The walls seemed to be made of a material that absorbed sound. Their footsteps made no noise as they were led by 2 tall Voidborn guards to a large chamber. As Koleth waited for them, standing up, the alien was nearly 10 feet tall. Its body was covered in a hard shell that looked like black metal. Commander Rivers, it said, welcome to the future site of your species' extinction. Jack kept his face calm, though his heart raced. We're here to discuss terms. There are no terms to discuss, only the method of your surrender. XR, Koloth moved closer. Your species will be remembered as a footnote in our glorious history. You have 1 Earth rotation to surrender your homeworld. Jack noticed Dr. Wright studying the ship's walls with a small device hidden in his palm. Olivia stood ready, her eyes constantly scanning for escape routes. Before we agree to anything, Jack said, we want to understand who we're dealing with. Tell me about these prophecies you mentioned, the ones that say we're your final conquest. The alien seemed pleased by the question. The great ascension awaits us. After 18 conquests, the Voidborn will evolve beyond physical form. Your world is the last step of our sacred journey. As Koleth spoke, Jack carefully pressed a button on his sleeve. The tiny tracking device was now active, sending data back to Samantha's lab. And if we fight? Jack asked. Then you will die knowing you failed to save even a portion of your kind. Koleth's voice held no emotion. Your weapons are nothing to us. Your technology is primitive. Your end is certain. Jack nodded slowly. We'll bring your offer to our leaders. As they returned to their shuttle, Olivia whispered, "Did we get what we needed?" Jack nodded. "And more. I think I found a weakness we can use." Back on the horizon, Jack called an emergency meeting with his crew. The tracking device worked, he told them. We now have a complete map of the Voidborn mothership, and Dr. Wright found something interesting. Dr. Wright stepped forward, looking excited despite his exhaustion. Their ship is biological. It's alive, in a way. The walls respond to touch and temperature. How does that help us? Neil asked. It means they're connected to their ships, Jack explained. The Voidborn don't just pilot their vessels. They are linked to them somehow. And that gives us an opening. A message came through from Earth Command. The Voidborn had attacked a small outpost on Mars as a show of force. 2,000 people were dead. Jack's face hardened. We're out of time for talk. He opened a secure channel to Samantha's lab. Samantha's face appeared on screen. She looked like she hadn't slept in days, but her eyes were bright with purpose. The quantum device is ready, she said, but there's a problem. It needs to be placed at the heart of their mothership to affect the entire fleet. A suicide mission, Jack said quietly. I'll go, Olivia spoke up. Everyone turned to look at her. I'm the best pilot we have. If anyone can get in and out, it's me. Jack wanted to refuse, but he knew she was right. How small is the device now? He asked Samantha. About the size of a coin, Samantha replied. But whoever plants it will have only minutes to get away before it activates. The plan came together quickly. They would use debris from the destroyed Mars outpost as cover. Olivia would pilot a stealth craft designed to look like a piece of wreckage. Once inside the mothership, she would place the device at its core and escape during the confusion. The quantum displacement field should create a pocket dimension that will trap the entire Voidborn fleet, Samantha explained. They'll be frozen in time and space, unable to harm anyone again. As they prepared, Jack received a message from Sarkolith. Your time is up, human. What is your answer? I need to meet with you one more time, Jack replied, to discuss the details of our surrender. The alien agreed, though Jack could tell it was becoming impatient. While Jack prepared to return to the mothership as a distraction, Olivia got ready for her mission. She wore a special suit that would help her blend with the shadows inside the alien vessel. This is our last chance, Jack told her privately. If this fails, Earth falls. Olivia nodded, her face calm despite the pressure. We won't fail, Commander. Pete helped Olivia place the small quantum device in a hidden pocket of her suit. Remember, you need to place it at the exact center of the ship. Our scans show it should be behind a large chamber that looks like a control room. As Jack boarded one shuttle to meet with XR Koleth again, Olivia entered her small stealth craft. It was hardly bigger than a car and designed to look like broken metal from the outside. Launch when we're halfway to the mothership, Jack ordered. They'll be focused on our approach. The plan worked perfectly at first. Jack's shuttle headed straight for the mothership, drawing all attention. Meanwhile, Olivia's craft drifted among the debris field, slowly making its way to a different part of the massive alien vessel. On Earth, panic had given way to a strange calm. People gathered in groups, looking up at the sky where the alien ships could sometimes be seen like new dark stars. They shared food and stories, finding comfort in each other as they waited for the end. Back in the Rocky Mountains, Samantha watched the tracking signals from both Jack and Olivia. Everything depended on perfect timing now. They're both inside, she told her team. Now we wait. Inside the mothership, Olivia slipped through narrow passages, following the map Dr. Wright had created. Her heart pounded, but her hands were steady. The device felt heavy in her pocket, despite its small size. Suddenly, she froze. Two Voidborn guards stood directly in her path. There was no way around them, and nowhere to hide. Olivia held her breath. The two Voidborn guards stood just 10 feet away, their black eyes scanning the corridor. Her suit helped her blend with the shadows, but if they looked directly at her, they would see her. Just as one guard turned toward her, a voice called out from down the hall. The guards turned and hurried away. Olivia let out a silent breath of relief. She moved forward again, deeper into the mothership. The walls pulsed around her, almost like they were breathing. Dr. Wright was right. The ship was partly alive. Meanwhile, Jack faced XR Koloth in the same chamber as before. "Your attacks on Mars were unnecessary," Jack said, trying to keep the aliens' attention. "They were a demonstration," XR Koloth replied. "Your time for games is over, Commander Rivers. Will Earth surrender, or shall we destroy it completely?" Jack needed to buy more time. He could see on his hidden wrist display that Olivia was still moving toward the center of the ship. "Before we surrender," Jack said, "I want to know more about your previous conquests. The 17 worlds that fell before us." Sar Koloth seemed pleased by the question. Each species had their own strengths. The Krell were masters of energy. The Duroni had powerful minds. The Zenter could change their form. The alien raised one of its many arms. We took what made them special and added it to ourselves. Jack realized what this meant. You stole their technology. We evolved. XR Koloth corrected. That is the Voidborn way. We take the best of each world we conquer. Your species has an unusual trait we have not seen before. What's that? Jack asked, genuinely curious. You laugh in the face of certain death. It is disturbing. Deep inside the ship, Olivia found a strange door. It was larger than the others and seemed to glow slightly. This had to be the entrance to the ship's core. She placed her hand on the door, and to her surprise, it opened. Inside was a vast chamber filled with swirling lights. At the center floated a crystal-like object the size of a car. It pulsed with energy. As Olivia crept toward it, she heard a noise. She turned to find a human man watching her. He wore ragged clothes and looked thin, but his eyes were alert. "You're not supposed to be here," he said in a hoarse whisper. Olivia raised a finger to her lips. "Who are you?" "Alan Gregory. I was captured 3 months ago from a research station. They've kept me alive to study." Olivia quickly decided to trust him. "I'm planting a device that will trap these aliens in a pocket dimension. I need to get it close to that crystal." Alan nodded. "I can help. I've been watching them. I know when the guards change." With Alan's help, Olivia moved closer to the crystal. He told her what he had learned as a captive. "The Voidborn aren't as strong as they seem," he explained. "Most of their technology is stolen. They can't create, only copy. And they fear humans more than the other species they conquered." "Why?" Olivia asked as she prepared the quantum device. "Because we're unpredictable. When faced with impossible odds, we don't give up like the others did. Sometimes we even laugh." Alan smiled slightly. "It confuses them. Their whole system is based on careful calculation and prediction. Human emotions, especially humor, don't fit their models." This gave Olivia an idea. "We can use that." She activated her comm unit, hoping it would reach Jack. It did. "Commander," she whispered, "I'm at the core with a human captive named Alan Gregory. He says the Voidborn are afraid of human laughter and unpredictability. They can't calculate it in their battle plans." Jack heard this while standing before XR Koloth. A slow smile spread across his face. "Something amuses you, human?" the alien asked, sounding uncomfortable. "Just thinking about what happens next," Jack replied. In the core chamber, Olivia placed the quantum device directly on the crystal. It attached magnetically and began to glow. "We have 5 minutes to get out of here," she told Alan. "Can you make it to the escape pods?" Alan nodded. "Follow me." As they ran, Olivia sent one last message to Samantha on Earth. "Device planted. Starting the countdown now." Jack looked at his wrist display. Olivia had planted the device. Now he needed to keep Sar Koloth distracted for 5 more minutes. "Something has changed," XR Kolaf said suddenly. Our sensors detect unusual energy in the core chamber. The alien's black eyes narrowed. What have you done? Jack knew he couldn't lie his way out of this. So he tried something else. You said we humans have an unusual trait, Jack said. Let me show you. And then he began to laugh. It wasn't forced or fake. It was the honest laugh of someone who had been pushed to the edge and found hope there. The alien stepped back, clearly disturbed. Stop this behavior at once. I can't, Jack said between laughs. This is what humans do when we're about to win against impossible odds. Tharkolith raised all 6 of its arms. Guards, seize him. Jack was still smiling as the guards grabbed him. You should have studied humans more carefully, he said. We're our most dangerous when we seem defeated. Meanwhile, Olivia and Alan raced through the ship's corridors. Alarms began to sound, and red lights flashed along the walls. They've discovered the device, Alan said. This way. He led her down a narrow passage. They could hear guards running and strange clicking sounds over the ship's communication system. How much time left? Alan asked. Olivia checked her watch. 3 minutes. They turned a corner and found themselves facing a dead end. That's not right, Alan said, confused. The escape pods should be here. The ship is changing, Olivia realized. Remember what Dr. Wright said. It's partly alive. It's trying to trap us. Alan pressed his hands against the wall. These ships respond to fear. The Voidborn use fear to control them. He looked at Olivia. Let's try something they wouldn't expect. Olivia understood. Together, they began to laugh. It felt strange to laugh while in such danger, but they kept going. Slowly, the wall in front of them began to shift and move. An opening appeared. It worked, Olivia said in amazement. They ran through and found the escape pod bay. Dozens of small pods lined the walls. Quickly, Alan said, opening one. Back in the command chamber, Hexar Koleth was growing more angry as Jack continued to smile despite being held by 2 guards. Your homeworld will burn for this deception, the alien said. I don't think so, Jack replied calmly. In fact, I think you're about to have a very bad day. On the bridge of the USV Horizon, Neil watched the mothership carefully. 1 minute until the device activates, he announced. Samantha's voice came over the comm. All ships should move back to a safe distance. We don't know exactly what will happen when the quantum field deploys. In the escape pod bay, Olivia and Alan climbed into a pod. Olivia quickly figured out the alien controls. 30 seconds, she said. The pod shot out of the mothership just as more guards entered the bay behind them. As they flew away, they could see the entire Voidborn fleet spread out before them. Hundreds of ships, all connected to the mothership by invisible energy links that Alan had told her about. 15 seconds, Olivia whispered. What exactly will this device do? Alan asked. Create a pocket dimension that traps the Voidborn fleet. At least, that's what it's supposed to do. In the command chamber, Jack's wrist display showed 5 seconds remaining. He looked Xar Koleth directly in the eyes. You know what the real difference is between your species and mine? Jack asked. Humans never give up. Not even at the end. 0. A bright blue light exploded from the center of the mothership. It spread quickly, engulfing the entire vessel in seconds. The light continued to move, racing along the energy links to the other ships in the fleet. From the horizon, Neil watched in awe as the entire Voidborn armada was covered in glowing blue energy. But something strange was happening. Instead of disappearing into another dimension as planned, the ships began to change. Their dark surfaces turned bright, almost white. The energy swirled around them, faster and faster. Then, suddenly, everything stopped. The light faded. The Voidborn ships remained where they were, but they looked completely different now. They shone like silver in the starlight. What just happened? Neil whispered. Samantha stared at her screens in the underground lab. The readings made no sense. "This isn't what was supposed to happen," she said to Pete. "The quantum field didn't create a pocket dimension. It's changing the ship somehow." On the horizon, Neil tried to contact Jack. There was no response from the mothership. "Scan for escape pods," he ordered. Found one. Called out Penny from her station. 2 life forms inside. Human signatures. Neil let out a sigh of relief. "Bring them in." The small escape pod was pulled into the horizon's docking bay. When the door opened, Olivia and Alan stepped out, looking tired but alive. "What happened to the quantum device?" Neil asked immediately. "We placed it on their core crystal," Olivia explained. "But that's not supposed to happen, is it?" She pointed at the view screen showing the transformed Voidborn fleet. "No," Neil admitted, "and we still can't reach the commander." Inside the mothership, Jack found himself alone. The guards who had been holding him had simply vanished when the blue light filled the room. XR Koloth was gone too. The entire ship had changed. The dark, living walls were now smooth and white. The air felt cleaner. Jack checked his wrist display. All systems showed the mothership was now under no control. "Hello," Jack called out. His voice echoed through the empty chamber. A soft voice answered from all around him. "Hello, Commander Rivers." Jack spun around, looking for the source. "Who's there?" "I am the collective consciousness of what you call the Voidborn fleet, or rather, what remains of it." Jack's hand moved to his weapon. "What happened to XR Koloth and the others?" "They are gone. Your quantum device had an unexpected effect. Instead of creating a pocket dimension, it created a feedback loop with our core energy. The Voidborn consciousness has been reset." "Reset? I don't understand." As Jack spoke, a figure formed in front of him. It looked human-shaped but was made of soft light. "The Voidborn were not always conquerors," the figure explained. "Long ago, they were peaceful explorers. But their leaders discovered that by harvesting the technologies and strengths of other species, they could become more powerful. They became addicted to this power and to conquest." "And now," Jack asked, "your device, combined with the unique energy signature of human emotion, what you call laughter, has purged the corruption from our systems. We are restored to our original programming." Back on the horizon, Samantha's voice came through on the comm system. "I figured it out," she said excitedly. "The quantum displacement field didn't work the way we expected because it interacted with the Voidborn's own technology. Their ships are powered by energy cores they stole from the Krell civilization. Those cores were designed to respond to emotional energy." "Are you saying human laughter caused this?" Neil asked in disbelief. "Exactly. When Jack laughed in the face of danger, that emotional energy, combined with our quantum device, created a reset wave that spread throughout their entire fleet." On the view screen, they watched as the transformed Voidborn ships began to move. They formed a perfect circle around Earth, but made no threatening moves. "They're protecting us," Olivia realized. In the mothership, Jack was trying to understand what this meant for humanity. "So you're no longer our enemies?" he asked the light figure. "We wish to make amends. The Voidborn caused great suffering to many worlds, including yours. We offer our ships, our knowledge, and our assistance in rebuilding." "And the prophecy, the one about conquering 18 worlds and then ascending." The figure seemed to smile. "Perhaps this is the true ascension, not through conquest, but through transformation. Through understanding that strength comes not from taking, but from connection." A communication signal reached Jack from the horizon. It was Neil's voice. "Commander, are you there? What's happening in there?" Jack looked at the light figure, then at the transformed ship around him. He began to laugh again, but this time from pure joy and relief. "Neil, you're not going to believe this," he said, "but I think we just won the war by laughing at the enemy." 1 month later, Jack stood on the bridge of the mothership. It had been renamed the USV Phoenix. The once dark and threatening vessel now shone with a warm silver light. Humans worked alongside light figures, the new form of the former Voidborn, throughout the ship. "Commander, we're ready to begin the journey," said Olivia, who had been promoted to captain of her own ship. Jack nodded. "Signal the rest of the fleet. We launch in 1 hour." After the transformation, Earth had faced a choice. The reset Voidborn consciousness offered humans control of their vast fleet. With these ships, humanity could explore further into space than ever before. But there was more. The 17 worlds that had been conquered by the Voidborn were now free. Some had surviving populations who needed help rebuilding. Others were empty but full of resources and knowledge. Earth leaders decided to form the Solar Alliance. Each ship in the former Voidborn fleet would carry humans and light beings to the conquered worlds. They would offer help, trade, and friendship instead of conquest. "It still feels like a dream," Samantha said as she joined Jack on the bridge. She had left her lab to become the Phoenix's chief science officer. "1 month ago, we thought we were facing the end of humanity. And instead we got the stars," Jack said with a smile. They looked out at Earth below them. The blue planet seemed smaller now that they knew how big the galaxy truly was. "Are you nervous about meeting the other species?" Samantha asked. "A little," Jack admitted, "but I think we have a lot to offer each other." Across the ship, Alan Gregory was working with the light beings to map their journey. After his time as a captive, he understood the former Voidborn better than most humans. "The Duroni homeworld should be our first stop," he suggested. "Their mental abilities combined with our emotional range could create amazing new technologies." The light being beside him agreed. "The Duroni feared the Voidborn, but they may welcome humans. Your unpredictability is no longer something to fear. It is something to value." On Earth, people watched the silver fleet that circled their planet. For years, humans had looked up at the stars and wondered if they were alone. Now they knew they weren't, and that the universe was both more dangerous and more wonderful than they had imagined. "The Phoenix will serve as our flagship," Jack told his crew. "Each of you was chosen because you represent the best of humanity. Our courage, our curiosity, and yes, our ability to laugh even in the darkest times." Penny, who had joined him from the horizon, smiled. "Who would have thought that our sense of humor would save the world?" "Speaking of humor," Neil said as he entered the bridge, "wait until the Zenter hear about this. According to the records, they can change their physical form but have no concept of jokes. Then we'll have a lot to teach them," Jack said. The final hour before launch passed quickly. Jack received a message from Earth Command. "Phoenix, you are clear for departure. Make us proud out there." Jack looked around at his crew, humans who had faced the end of their world with courage. He thought of all the people who had worked together to save Earth. He thought of Olivia's bravery and Alan's survival and Samantha's brilliant mind. "Send a message to all ships," he ordered. "Phoenix to fleet. The journey begins now." As the massive ships moved away from Earth, Jack felt a strange mix of emotions. Fear of the unknown, excitement for discovery, hope for the future. A light being approached him. "Commander Rivers, I have been studying human expressions. Is this a moment when laughter would be appropriate?" Jack shook his head. "Not exactly, but it is a moment for joy." He looked out at the stars spreading before them, worlds to explore, species to meet, a galaxy transformed not by conquest, but by an unexpected moment of human laughter. "Once, the Voidborn thought they would ascend by conquering 18 worlds," Jack said softly. "Instead, 18 worlds will rise together because humans refuse to surrender." The Phoenix moved faster, leading humanity to its new future among the stars. Behind it, Earth grew smaller, no longer alone, no longer afraid. And Jack Rivers, the man who laughed at the end of the world, smiled as the journey began.